Capitol Report is a production of Senate Media Services.
On this week's program, lawmakers from both sides of the aisle talk about the needs of the E-12 education system. The independent review of MNLARS makes its recommendations, and a photographic look at what's been happening at the Capitol. Stay tuned for this week's Capitol Report. Welcome to this week's program. I'm Shannon Loehrke. E-12 education is one of the largest segments of the state's budget, and lawmakers are now working nearly round the clock to finalize spending plans for the next two-year budget cycle. Chair of the Senate Education Committee, Senator Carla Nelson, joins me now to talk about the Senate's education budget proposal. Thanks for being here.
Great to be here.
Let's start with the big picture. In committee, you called education the great equalizer, and you also said it is the moral, racial, and economic issue of our day. So what will the Senate, your education plan, do to progress towards these goals?
You are correct. Education is the great equalizer, whether we're talking about health disparities, housing disparities, income disparities, all of those things really revolve around education. This education bill addresses that in a number of ways. First, it is the largest education funding bill in the history of our state. It's a $19.78 billion, that's with the B, dollar bill. It includes over $900 million of new funding on top of current funding. So it's about a 5.1% increase. So first, we're putting the resources there. But in order for those resources to be impactful and achieve the goals that we've talked about, they need to be deployed in a way that focuses on students and funds what works. And that's what this bill does. It does a number of things. It first of all makes sure that we focus on some of those building blocks that are essential to having students prepared for today and tomorrow's jobs. Number one, we look at those early learners. We restore the 4,000 spots for 4-year-olds for high quality early education. Those were set to expire. Those one-time money that in the previous Governor Dayton's budget. We have included those in our budget in a more targeted manner, so the funding goes to students at need, children who would not be able to afford those high-quality early learning settings, so and we give parent choice.
Rather than pre-kindergarten slots, as the Dayton administration had, these are early learning scholarships for those in need.
Correct, in those same areas, so those same 80 school districts. So it's just more choice for parents, but more importantly, targeting limited state resources. So to achieve our goal of education being the great equalizer, we have to start with those earliest learners. We also put in a kindergarten readiness assessment so we can see what is working. The next big building block is early literacy. Kids must be able to read and read well by the end of 3rd grade. We continue to see 40% of our students who are not proficient in reading. We must address that, and we do that in this bill by focusing reading resources on scientific evidence-based reading programs and putting money behind that and training for our teachers, both in the teacher prep and in teacher renewal. So those are important aspects. We also focus on proven strategies like the reading recovery, which is a scientific reading-based initiative, a tutor setting copied from other states are copying the Minnesota model, and it has been shown to reduce the need for special education because we are getting students the early literacy help they need. So we focus on those building blocks, and then as our students go forward, we focus on career, tech ed, post-secondary enrollment options, and one initiative I must mention is the P-TECH initiative, which is innovative. It is pathways in early education, pathways in technology, early college, high, and it's been highly successful in other states, and it is this joint partnership, a literal partnership between our public schools, our community ed, and an industry partner working with students in a apprenticeship, internship, mentorship, industry involvement closely with the school, and getting those industry credentials, those AA degrees, the industry experience, and then being first in line for jobs. These are in high-tech jobs. And so this is important as we look at closing that economic gap as well.
So in your view, the achievement gap in Minnesota, which is one of the worst in the nation, these literacy programs will go a long ways towards reducing the disparities in achievement in our younger population. Is that correct?
Yes, early learning, early literacy, and then a career tech dual enrollment. If we can do those three things, we will see great success in reducing our very stubborn achievement gap.
And then with P-TECH, I was reading the U.S. Department of Labor statistics says 65% of school children now will have jobs in the future that are yet to be created. So is this P-TECH idea, and are there other ideas in this bill that will sort of prepare these kids today for these jobs that we can't even yet imagine?
That is exactly correct. So it is the education today that our students are going to need tomorrow for tomorrow's jobs. And they'll be first in line for those jobs.
There is significant difference, though, between the Senate's budget proposal and the governor's and the DFL-led House in terms of the amount of dollars. Now, you said the Senate's plan is will be the largest ever put forward by the Senate, but it is a 0.5% on the per pupil formula. The governor's is 3%, 2%. Can you talk a little bit more about how less money is still sufficient in your view?
Yes. Well, first of all, it is the largest funding bill ever. If this bill passed into law, it is the largest funding bill in education. But is it sufficient? Is there need for more? I think that is your question. And then how do you pay for it? A couple things. First, I would note that the Senate budget is based upon our current resources. It is not predicated on the nearly $3 billion, that's $billion of tax increases that the House budgets are based upon. So the Senate education budget is based upon current resources, anticipated new resources, but it does not increase taxes. There's no increase in taxes in this education budget, either from the state taxes to pay for it, nor in local property taxes, which, by the way, our citizens already pay $6 billion a year in local property taxes for our schools.
And you've made the point repeatedly that this budget protects the taxpayer in exactly what you're saying, that it doesn't increase taxes, it uses existing resources. Is that right?
My point is that it focuses on students and it funds what works.
Okay.
And we are doing so while protecting the taxpayers. My initiative is on students.
Right, right. Speaking of students, school safety is a huge topic. What in this bill is directed towards reassuring parents and children that they're going to be safe in schools?
Yes, that is the number one thing. Every parent needs to know their child is going to a safe school, and kids can't learn if they're fearful for their safety. And so this bill has some innovative aid. It is called Safe Schools Aid. It's a new type of aid, $75 million to our schools on a per pupil basis that they can use for safety enhancements. That includes both the physical structure and the internal structure, those important people costs, whether it be counselors, social workers, school resource officers, and most importantly, it allows our local school districts to determine how best to spend those dollars.
I'm a parent of 2 school-age kids, and I just got a bill for transportation costs that I have to pay for the next year. I did see in the bill there's a pupil transportation working group. What is that group going to be looking for?
Well, there's some disparities in a lot of education funding. Some districts spend more to transport students than others. Sometimes it's because they're around a huge lake, or it's because they're very large districts and they have to transport students a long way. Some districts spend more money on a per pupil basis for telecommunications because the internet access isn't as great there. So there's disparities in all kinds of different funding. What you're experiencing in your district is there must be abnormal transportation costs. And so I believe this working group will look at what's driving those costs, and also is there a way to mitigate those costs, and how should school districts handle that. I would say the biggest disparity in many schools is the special education funding. The feds are not paying for what they promised. School districts are left picking up the bag because the feds are paying about 7% of special ed instead of 40%. And some districts have a lot of special education costs. And so there's a lot of disparities in how our school districts, the different funding needs that they have. And that's what one of them that this group will look at would be the transportation differences in costs.
And I did have Senator Pratt on earlier this session to talk about the special education reductions in paperwork, which I also believe are part of this bill, but we are running out of time. So Senator Nelson, I want to thank you so much.
Great to be here. Thank you, Shannon.
Every Minnesotan should know that every Minnesota senator in this chamber is a fan and a big supporter of education and our students and their teachers and all of the school professionals. And that's why we spent a good deal of time today talking about this very important bill. And it speaks to our future members. And that's why we are so passionate. Sometimes we disagree, but we are passionate because we know that education is the key. It's the great equalizer. It's the moral issue of our day. It's the racial issue of our day. And significantly, it's the economic issue of our day. That's why we focus on students. That's why we fund what works. That's why we look for innovations and incentives to drive better results. We owe it to our children, our students, and their parents to make sure that they have the very best education, that they are reading well by the end of 3rd grade.
As we work ahead, there's so many people that we have to keep in mind, and all of the employees that work in the school district, the volunteers, especially the parents as well that are so active. They are the primary teacher, but the key to all of the information, the requirements that we have, the key to implementing is the teacher. There's over 57,000 teachers inspiring over 800,000 students. And they are very, very special. There's a shortage of workers, and there's even a worse problem now in a shortage of teachers, especially in special ed, in math, in science, in career tech. And that underscores why we have to invest and take that opportunity.
Joining me now to talk more about the educational priorities he would like to see funded in the state's next 2-year budget is the ranking minority member and former chair of the Education Committee, Senator Chuck Wiger. Welcome.
Thank you, Shannon.
As a former teacher, Governor Walz has firsthand experience of what Minnesota schools need. What are the essential elements of his education plan that you agree with?
Okay. I endorse the governor's plan, and first and foremost, the governor supports what we have for our world's best workforce, that every student graduate on time, they have mastered the high standards that we have put in the classroom, and that they are ready for college, career tech, or military, whatever that aspiration, but that they complete high school. And that is the objective for our world's best workforce accountability system. And there's a number of proposals the governor has to increase the chances of that being done.
I read an article recently. Senator Nelson said that, who's chair of the Education Committee right now, said that there's a lot of agreement between the governor's plan and the Senate Republican plan, except the money difference.
And that's a significant difference, because there are many initiatives that the governor has put forward, namely it's $700 million in new money, $500 million just on the formula. And when you put that kind of money in the formula, you're able to provide additional opportunities for students, whether it's for voluntary pre-K for 4-year-olds. We don't want to shut the door on that, because that's going to maximize their opportunity for being ready for K. You want to provide programs for full service schools, the importance of recruiting and retaining teachers. It's a serious issue throughout our state. And if we were to only put in at a half and a half, as is the current Senate proposal, that will result in cuts in nearly every single district throughout Minnesota. And we've heard, particularly over the Easter break, that a half and a half, which is $31 and $32 for each year of the biennium, that will result in cuts. And the governor is proposing, the House is proposing $141, $380, or 3 and 2. That's a lot of money. It means additional programs that we can keep, as well as increase in terms of needs that have been identified. So the money matters, and the school districts across the state are strongly supporting the governor's plan for 3 and 2 on the formula.
3% the next year and 2% the following year on the formula. Let's break it down into some of those elements that make news, that everyone talks about. Let's start with tackling that persistent achievement gap. What is the best way to do that?
There isn't one single best way, but there are some areas that we have a lot of bipartisan agreement on. First and foremost, high quality early education programs, and to help prepare students to be ready for kindergarten. So there's a mix of strategies, whether it's through the voluntary program for 4-year-olds, earlier readiness programs that we have available through early childhood family education. There's scholarship paths that have been available through the public schools and non-public as well. The intent is to provide the resources that students are ready for K. If they're ready for K, they're very likely then to be reading proficiently at 3rd grade and to graduate that overall goal. That will help reduce. And another area is hiring more teachers of color. They can relate so much better a highly effective teacher of color to other students of color. Only 4% of the teachers in Minnesota now are of color, and almost 33% of the students are of color, and that is only going to widen that gap if we don't do anything.
I'd like to jump in just briefly about the early childhood education funding, because Governor Dayton was a huge proponent of this, and the money that he put in his budget now will expire. Governor Walz has suggested extending it. There's a fair amount of research on the importance of these early years. Does that money need to be extended or even added to?
It absolutely has to be extended, and I praise Governor Dayton for his legacy and in part for addressing early education. There's been others too that have been strong advocates, but he put money where the rhetoric was, Governor Dayton, and by the way, for all-day kindergarten as well, and you need to pay for it. The 4,000 slots for early education are needed. School districts are counting on it. They've made the whole staffing adjustments, the space in the schools. Again, if students are ready for K, they're very likely to graduate and be prepared for the next step. I just wanted to share a onesie actually. And students, or the newborns in White Bear Lake that are at St. John's, they get a onesie at the hospital. This is a Bears.
Go Bears, on the rear end. That's very cute.
And it's meant to say, you know, congratulations. And we're here in a voluntary way if you want to learn more about parent involvement, engagement. And so we have a number of great programs, and each of these programs will make an impact on the likelihood of a student ultimately succeeding. So strong proponent of early ed. We need to have that in the mix, but you need to have the money to do that. Governor Walz is providing that in his budget, as is the House, and hopefully in conference committee we'll reach a resolution positively.
Let's talk about the school safety levy. Is adding money to the school safety levy, is that enough to improve school safety? Parents all across the state are concerned about this.
Whether it's enough, we need to do as much as we can. You aren't able to learn effectively if you don't feel safe in the school environment. And also that goes for teachers and the whole staff team or parents that are visiting. The changing times have increased the need to provide additional money for schools in terms of the security measures, whether it's the physical plant for security measures that they invest in, or what we provide in the Senate bill, and this is very bipartisan, providing additional staff, whether it's going to be for counselors or social workers, nurses, resource officers. It's up to the school district local control, but there's additional money that's available. Last year they had to do it by lottery in terms of what was available. That's not fair, and so there will be additional funds. It's a bipartisan agreement, and in addition to these, the funds that we're talking about as it relates to violence, school safety also includes testing for lead, testing for radon. The House has provisions for radon as well. We need to do that. And I had a provision that's included in the Senate bill that provides for notice to parents, students, and staff when there's a notice from the Department of Health or PCA about a hazardous emission. This is a huge issue out in the White Bear area now from the water gremlin emissions that had occurred for 19 years. So school safety, very important. Learning is not optimal when people don't feel safe, so we'll continue to invest in that area.
One more thing before you go. Lawmakers have been grappling with the special education cross-subsidy for years. The governor's plan puts more money so that those dollars aren't taken from the general education.
Yes.
What do we do about special education?
Well, I praise the governor and the House. They put a freeze on this cross-subsidy. The cross-subsidy is the additional money that the school district has to provide out of its general fund for students in special education. Nearly 13% of students are in various programs in special ed. Maybe it's a semester or two, or it might be one teacher working with a student with significant needs. Since 1975, the federal government has provided that right, and that's very appropriate that all students be given an appropriate education, that they're not going to be warehoused. But in order to follow up on that pledge, we need to provide the resources. The federal government pledged to provide 40% of that money. They're not even close to 20%. If the federal government provided what they promised, we would have an additional $820 per student. But it hasn't happened, and so the federal government needs to step up to its process. But meanwhile, at least putting a freeze on that cross-subsidy, it's not fair, and it's breaking the promise that had been done at the federal level. The state's doing its best, but more needs to be done. And we did do some work in a bipartisan way to address paperwork for special ed. And another area, too, that we can do to address special ed is high-quality early ed. The earlier the diagnosis, the intervention, the treatment, the better likelihood that you may not need additional services later, case by case.
Yes. Senator Wiger, always a pleasure. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Shannon.
This week, Governor Walz' Blue Ribbon Council on Information Technology released its review of the troubled Minnesota licensing and registration system and offered its recommendations.
Starting on March 5th, the review team ran an intensive process with over 50 meetings with various stakeholders. We talked to 19 deputy registrars, visited 2 offices in person to listen, to not just listen, but to watch the counter transactions in the office with our citizens. We also spoke with the Auto Dealers Association, the Insurance Association, the Auto Salvage Group, and more. We met with internal teams at Minute, at DPS, at DVS, and the Office of the Legislative Auditor. Our process included to talking to one of the vendors who responded to the state-issued RFI to hear about the maturity of packaged software solutions. We also spoke to 4 states that use that particular vendor's packaged software solution to help us gauge the maturity of the solution and the market. Given all of this, our recommendation is to move to a packaged software solution.
It is this administration's position that I believe we accept these recommendations. We move to a packaged software solution.
Really, I wanted to just be here to compliment the governor. The governor really led on this issue. MNLARS was dropped in his lap, and we had been frustrated with it for a number of years. The governor was willing to take a new and fresh look at it, allow somebody independently to look both for the governor's standpoint, but also the House and Senate, and say maybe we should do something different. So this is bold. And as a result of this shift, I know that the Senate will be leaning into this as we find the solution, and it bodes well for Minnesota.
The MNLARS situation has been
and a real frustration for me for a very long time. But with the help of Rick King and his crew, this is really an optimistic day. And I can tell you that at least insofar as I am concerned, I am going to follow the recommendation of Rick King and his crew.
I really feel today we've turned a corner both technologically and politically. We're all on the same page. I also accept the recommendations of this report, and together we can develop legislation if needed to move this process forward, and I think in a collaborative way, both with the administration and on a bipartisan basis in the legislature. So, like Senator Newman, I'm very optimistic. This is a new day in terms of our approach to MNLARS, and we'll be doing good things for the people of Minnesota.
Our Senate photographers, David Oakes and AJ Olmscheid, capture the people who visit the Capitol and the work of lawmakers. As we close this week's program, we leave you with images of what's been happening.